Okay, so today's video, we're gonna be working on the CB650r again, and I'm gonna be seeing what this is like with clip-on handlebars. So the CB650r and the CBR650r are essentially the same bike. This is the more upright, they call it Neosport Cafe version, and then the CBR has the full fairings on it, clip-on handlebars, different rear sets, but essentially the majority of the bike is the same bike. So I went to the Honda dealer and I got the CBR clip-on handlebars and the top bridge. So we're gonna see if we can just swap over all of the controls from the CB650 onto the CBR bars and then lower it down. So I already checked out the turn signal mount. So on the CBR, the turn signal is actually mounted on the fairing, right? The headlight fairing. So on the CB, it's got these rubber mounts, and it just attaches with a bolt clamping it around the fork tube. So there's actually enough distance here between the upper triple and the headlight to put the clip on. So we got good clearance there. The rear sets on the CBR are different than this. They're a little bit different geometry. It's a different part number. I'm assuming it's not just the color. But the good thing about the pegs that I put on is that they're adjustable. There's a bolt down here and you can pivot this. So once we have the sort of the height of the handlebar set with the clip-ons on it, we can see where what that angle feels like, how it feels sitting on the seat, and then we can adjust the angle of the foot pegs to match, so you get a good comfortable riding position. And I don't think it's going to be too extreme. That was after talking to a couple people, they were concerned that I might ruin the seating position of the bike by moving the bars down, because it is quite a drop. Even though the bars do come up from where they attach onto the triple, they come up a bit. So, but it drops it down a good 2 inches. But like this CBR is not. It's not like the CBR 1000 RR. It's not a super cramped. It's a sporty position, but it's not a super cramped super sport position, if that makes any sense. So I don't think it's going to end up ruining the seating position, but we can always go back to this. I'm going to keep the parts, so we'll try this out, see what it feels like, and yeah. So here we go. I'm going to start by taking the controls off the bars. So we'll take everything off of the right side bar, and we're gonna take everything off the left side bar, and then all of these parts are the identical parts from the CBR, so they share all of the same parts other than the cables, because the length is slightly different, but I don't think that's gonna matter. So they should just clamp onto the clip-ons over there. Okay, so we got the bars off, as you can see, and I'll show you what we got going on here. So, and this is what came off. This is what I was hoping to use. So this is the one off of the CBR 650, and then this is the new one that I got for the CB 650. So there's a few differences, but this is why I wanted a new one. This lock is completely bashed out of it. This one's nice and clean. So apart from that, what I was hoping was that this would go on, because it's got these little nubs on the clip-ons, and they locate in these pockets right here. They lock in so the bars won't keep rotating, right? So it's got one pinch bolt and then locks in there, and this is not going to go anywhere, so it's nice and solid. Unfortunately though, where the dash bracket mounts, there's bolts that come up through here, the bolt to the bottom here of the clamp for the CB650. This one I didn't want to use just because it's got the holes for the risers, and we're not going to be using those. It's not the end of the world, but I think the easier route is to use this clamp so that everything bolts up nicely, so that, because the headlight attaches to the same bracket that the gauge cluster attaches to, and some of the wiring clips into. So I think the best course of action is to use this one. However, because those locate in those pockets like that, when you clamp them down, this one doesn't have that, and I've marked this kind of where those pockets would be, and it hits, right? So the option is either drill this out a little bit, but because it's at a slope and because of this section right here, it's not really going to do anything. If I drill down into there, it's just going to basically clearance enough where that nub is going to fit in there, and it could still move around. Once it's tightened, it's not going to rotate around. So I think probably the easiest is just to shave that off on both of the clip-ons, use this clamp, and then everything will bolt up nicely. So unfortunately, this one that I was waiting for is going to go back in the bag, and we'll put it on the shelf. We might use it for something else down the road. I would have had to paint that black anyway though. Okay, so I got this in the soft jaws here, so it's not going to mar up those bars. And I'm just going to take the hacksawzall and cut the nub off here. Beauty. I got the bar end weight to come out of here because we're going to put it in the stock clip-on. It's nice to have a little bit of vibration damping in the handlebar. So there's a snap ring. You just gotta push the pin in one top, one bottom. Get the snap ring to come out a bit, and then I'm gonna put this bolt threaded in there and yank it out. You'll see. Got the pokey bit, just gonna push it in here. You hear it pop maybe? It's starting to come out. The one on the bottom. There you go. So it's starting to come out, so it's not in the detents anymore. Just double check that. Yeah, it's not in the detents anymore. So I'm going to thread this in. And then I'm going to put it in the vise like this and yank on it till it comes out. There you go. I'm going to have to make a bracket for the turn signal stock here. But for now, this guy can go in here. There we go. There you go. So I got the right side bar on. Everything is just up there loose. I'm probably going to have to adjust. This angle is no good for the brake line. This is loose too because I'm going to have to adjust the angle that the cables come out of the throttle tube. So the switch and the throttle tube have holes in the bars to locate them, like on this side too for the clutch. So there's little pins in there so they can't rotate. So they have to go in the exact location, which is fine. Master cylinder perch you can adjust, but it feels pretty good here sitting on the bike. So what I'm gonna do, because this is gonna sit basically up and as forward as it can, but now it blocks that bolt for the upper triple. So what I'm gonna do is torque that down, torque those two sides down, because I'm pretty happy with where this is gonna end up. And then I can tighten the bolt on the handlebar too. And then I'll adjust the cables and the hoses and wires. I might have to go back in there and get some slack or just change the angles of a few things to make it flow smoother. Worst case, I'll have to get the CBR cables because it's the same chassis, same bars, same bar height. So if I can get the CBR lines for it, everything will just line up that much nicer. But for right now, as a mock-up, not too shabby. I still have to make that bracket for the signal light because it's going to tuck up there, just under the bar. And she's going to look pretty good, I think. For these pinch bolts, the torque spec is 16 foot-pounds, but I only have this inch-pound wrench. So it's actually really easy, just multiply by 12, too simple. So 16 times 12, 160 plus 32 is 192. So we'll set this to 192 and we'll torque those down. And so for the pinch bolts on the clip-ons too, I did those same thing as this one, so 16 foot-pounds. Same idea. And you can see we're gonna have to figure this out. And then the only other thing is obviously those brackets for the turn signals. All right, so here's the bars on. Everything's tightened down. And just to give you a visual reference, that's where we started. So come down and forward a little bit, well, quite a bit, a few inches. Yeah, looks pretty good. And it's not uncomfortable. I sat on it. I'm gonna adjust the pegs. The angle's not right, but they're super easy to adjust. But that's basically it. And I'll just get the brackets going for that. Okay, just pop the headlight out real quick. Made some spacers to go in to drop the bracket for the turn signal down. It's tight, but there's a little bit of clearance there. I think there's enough. It's not going to really interfere with your hands at all. I don't want to drop them any lower because I'm afraid it's going to start hitting on the side there. But headlight pops out really easily. It's just 2 screws on the top and then 2 little tabs on the bottom that it slides into the electrical. I adjusted some of the cables and stuff, so looks pretty good. We'll wait to put the headlight in and then kind of tie everything back up where it should be. Detail.